So that the burden, two faxes up there are, you're going to have to modify them and play with them in Word, but they're up there now.
Okay. Great.
If people look over what we've posted today, there's a new set of definitions.
Yes. Yeah, I've actually just printed them out a little bit ago, as soon as I got in.
Okay.
I'm glad I checked because I didn't know about the call. I was out all day.
Yeah, I guess it was put on about 1 o'clock this afternoon.
Right. Yeah, I worried that it might have something to do with the U.S. and the EU putting sanctions on Russia.
No. As you can see, Patrick's really been working with the definitions, and you can tell that this is really leading to something important.
Right. Okay. I'm just going to make sure I have them here.
Okay, how many you got on the call now, Tom?
10.
Okay, I've said all along that this stuff is in the words, if you understand, and take the time to try and learn the words. It's sitting there. It's not anywhere else. It's in the words. And I tried to give an explanation of some of the words that were trying to lead into that the other day, and prove that they say that, okay? Well, there are several more that bring it out even more. Everything out here is by a will, okay? The Old Testament and the New Testament in the Bible is two wills, the old will and then the new will that they try to implement, okay? Malachi basically knew that this was coming about. Even John the Baptist and later on Jesus knew that they were trying to set up a new will, a New Testament. And they tried to lay the groundwork of preventing for the people if they understood what was going on in the parables and everything else that were being talked about. And I will get into some of those to substantiate that statement as we go through this. Okay? One of the key things was, for everybody out here, is that when you start with the word testament, testimony, okay, you come across, after testament, you come across testimony arbitrator, a person appointed by a testor in his will to interpret and settle difficulties between beneficiaries growing out of dispositions made by the will. Okay? You are the appointed person as by the testator, by your fictional person. He's yours. You're the only one that knows what his will is. Okay? You read testimony capacity, testimony instrument. An instrument such that from the language used, it is apparent that the maker intended to make a disposition of his property or some part thereof to be effective at his death. Okay? They have gotten us into a voluntary peonage, P-E-O-N-A-G-E, servitude. Made you a peon. Okay?
John.
So you, but if you read what peonage is, however created, is compulsive service, involuntary servitude. Even though they tried to claim that it's voluntary, it's still in the form of an involuntary servitude. Because with all their contracts, they made your fictional person a debtor. He was a debtor to us. We're the creditor. And he is the debtor to us. Okay? And then he turned around and leased our assets out to the state and to the other entities out there. And then they turned around and tried to recontract with him back, making him a debtor to them, saying that they were the creditor. They are not the creditor in any way, okay? Just like in the New Testament, the church does not have any lawful authority to usurp what was in the Old Testament. The Church of Rome I'm talking about. And see, that's what they knew. Malachi and several of the others knew that they were going to turn around and the religious entities were going to try and usurp the control away from the people for the repercussions of what took place in Egypt. The Pharaohs, the money changers. Okay? And so they brought about this new false covering called the New Testament. But they utilized a bunch of the writings that were in Jesus' time in the Bible, putting those into that New Testament, but they were bringing about trying to say that Jesus, with Peter, set up a whole new system. They were using him then as the focal point in their endeavor. But the saving grace is in the parables when you understand what the parables are saying. Your fictional person became a public employee for the corporation, a state, okay, employee. Let me see, I've got that somewhere here. Maybe it was in the other definitions that I had. Anyway, we're operating in a duocracy right now, a government by slaves. A slave is a person owned or bound to another. And then the slave master is the money changers. They're claiming to be the owners of the slave. Slavery is bondage, involuntary servitude, and slavery in this country was abolished by Abraham Lincoln. But it was brought about in a new system, monetary system, of getting you into a voluntary servitude system. One of the key definitions in the dictionary is that a man, let me see, where was it? Omnes, O-M-N-E-S. Look up those words, and Valentine's, I'm pretty sure that's where I got these. The Latin phrase that says, all men are either free men or slaves. There's no in between there in the definition. You're either one or the other. The next one is all are free to renounce those things which have been allowed for their benefit. That means you can renounce anything that basically is claiming to be there for your benefit. And then the next one that I have in there, every will or testament is consummated or completed by death. That means you can bring about the death of your fictionary person. Enticement of servant, okay, is what they also brought in. A tortious interference consisting of malice introducing an employee in the actual service of his employer to desert and leave his services as and it says a subversive alienation. I put that in there, to the injury of the original employer, you. And then when you look up maliciously and torturous words and inducement. And then basically you were induced to become an employee of the United States. Broadly, any person in the employment of the government for the purposes of the Federal Tort Claims Act, one acting under the control of the government, unaffected from the standpoint of control by an intervening sovereignty, independent agency, or independent contractor. That is what your fictional person is. He is an employee of the United States Corporation or the state of wherever corporation. And that's under the Federal Tort Claims Act, addressing that. An employee, any expression more, it means basically servant. An employee is a servant. By the ordinary meaning, it means the same. Okay, so they made you a public employee, a servant. They also, and that was under the enticement of servant to take you away. They also did the enticement of child, the abduction and wrongful taking of a minor child from the custody of the parents, for which the parent may have had an action for damages based upon loss of the child's services. And it's a possible method of kidnapping. It is. Now, in the definition of testimony arbitrator, it had two key words there. The person appointed is to interpret and settle. Well, interpret, to construe, to explain, to expound, to translate from a foreign language. Okay? So you've got, there's a Latin phrase there, the construction of instruments should be liberal, that the transaction may be effective rather than impotent when the transaction is not valid as I do it. Let it have as much validity as it can have. Now you got to sort of read between the lines in some of these definitions to understand and open your mind in what it's saying. Interpretation. a translation, the art of finding the true sense of any form of words or symbols. The term is not synonymous with construction. That is what they do. They construct a statement or whatever going into court. They construct something, building a house of cards in front of you. You have to tear that house of cards down, because your words have solid foundation when you go into it. An interpreter, one who interprets, particularly one who interprets words written or spoken in a foreign language, a person appointed by the court to interpret the testimony of a witness who speaks a foreign language or a foreign tongue because he does not understand or speak English. Your fictional person is speaking through you. You have to interpret what he is saying and put it down either in writing or into open statement. Okay? So, we got to the testimony arbitrator. Now you need to know what an arbitrator is. Okay? Okay. Arbitrary decision, a decision rendered by the court or judge or other officer exercising judicial functions which is based upon the will of the officer alone, not on any course of reason or exercise of judgment. Arbitrary government, an absolute monarchy, or is in modern times a totalitarian government. You may not realize this, but we're in a totalitarian government when we stand up. And you're not going to find too much about totalitarian out there. Now, an arbitration, a mode of settling differences through the investigation and determination by one or more persons selected for the purpose of some disputed matter submitted to them by the contending parties, a decision and award. That means you can terminate, like what I put in up on the document there. I had a fax that I sent to the Attorney General that I was doing a reinterpretation of the wills of my state of Iowa commercial, governmental, corporate employees' traffic charges. I know what their will was, and they were not operating in commercial endeavors. But that's what the court or those other claimants try and make that, is that you are operating in commercial commerce. No, you have to come in as the testimony arbitrator, and you do the interpretation of the will of your fictional person that has been claimed by the state. Only you can know what his will really is. They can only charge you, basically, if you are operating in commercial commerce. That whole, all the codes and everything out there. Okay? They're under the Arbitration Act, a federal statute providing for the arbitration of dispute involving involved in maritime transaction and or commerce. The federal statute of arbitration is strictly limited to maritime transactions, which is commercial transactions, and commerce, which is lawful commerce. But it is significant for the application of a statute that the matter involved is either a maritime or commerce, maritime transaction or commerce. It is not necessary to be both. And you have to know when the fraud is being placed. You're still held accountable for just, commerce. And you have to be able to set that off. But the unjust commerce, the commercial system, you're not liable for. And see, that's really what those traffic tickets are all about. You have a right to travel. They cannot impede your right. And see, they're trying to claim that you are operating in commercial commerce. Well, to operate in commercial commerce, that means that you had to be using the highway for a profit. You had to be gaining something. You had to be under hire, getting paid to drive. And I don't think anybody in that court is going to hand payment over to you for driving. But they did put something on the ticket that basically you were going to get paid an appearance bond. Well, see, the first part was a fraud. The second part, basically, was supposed to be your payment, but they never give you the damn payment. So if they don't give you the payment, then you've never been paid. The payment, the appearance bond, was supposed to be paying for the charges. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander, too. You can come back after them in this regards under their fraud that they have perpetrated. They're trying to perpetrate a fraud upon you. And basically, there's always an arbitration clause in almost all contracts. But the contracts we have are unwritten. So you have to understand that basically, since it's a implied contract, that there had to be an implied arbitration clause in that contract. And that's what gives you the right of being the arbitrator in the will of your fictional person. Arbitrator. Okay? And that's what you're coming in as. A testamentary arbitrator. Private, extraordinary judges of a domestic tribunal. Well, what is a domestic tribunal? The domestic tribunal is the tribunal of man. His right and his left and his fatherhead. Okay? His thought process. His 3 in 1. That is his tribunal. That is a domestic tribunal. of a domestic tribunal chosen by parties by whose agreement they are invested. Well, who is the only one that is really invested with that, your fictional person? You. And you are given quasi-judicial power to decide finally and without appeal matters in dispute between the other parties. To decide. You are the one that have to make the decision in that court. Is it a valid charge or is it not a valid charge? You finalize it, and then basically when you make your final decision as the arbitrator, it's a done deal. There is no appeal. Those judges, those female, think they want to be judges sitting there, fraudulent, holding that office, because they can't be a judge. They're an administrator. Because they could never be a judge in this country for the judicial system, because they're in bondage. So they're just a arbitrator, banker sitting in there, a bar, and they try and bar the truth from you, and that's why you have to come in. You never make an appearance, okay? You come in and you enter into the court. You are like an ambassador. You are making an entry, so you have to put out in front of you your title of office. And your title of office is basically like what I have on that fax, Office of the State of Iowa Board of Directors. I said all along that basically this state corporation has to be a corporation. Well, every corporation has to zero their books at the end of the year. And that's what the state does. So if they're acting as a corporation, they are a corporation. And then a corporation has a board of directors. They're the ones that choose who the president of the corporation is, and who chooses the president of the United States, basically the electors. The same thing with the governor, the valid electors, those over the age of 25 that are basically supposed to be debt-free, non-debtors, because they're supposed to make the same qualifications as a House of Representative to be an elector. And to be a representative of another man, you have to be debt-free, or you cannot be into debt to anyone else, because you would then not be under free choice. You would be controlled by somebody. So we are the board of directors. We would be sitting on the board of the directors as an executive elector. Now, when you go in and start looking at this, then board of directors, the directors of a corporation acting as a unit and representing the corporate body and conducting business of the corporation. Well, if you're a board and then of directors, you're a director. And director, agents, executive representatives of a corporation who are acting as a board or unit to manage the business of a corporate, consisting constituting, as it has been said, the mind and soul of the corporation. That's the corporate soul, acting according to their best judgment. And they are beyond the control of the stockholders in respect to any particular action taken. The common stockholders basically out there, they can basically vote to do something, but that does not mean that the board of directors have to do what they say. And you've seen this numerous times over out here. And if the people want something one way, but somehow or other, the law comes out and it's a completely different thing. Then the other word in board of directors is board. You look up that. And basically, in Anderson's there, you go down through. It talks about board as meals usually in sense of all or nearly all the meals up for the period as board by the day or week, while the word is sometimes giving a meaning significantly board to include both lodging and meals. Where it is used in a statute, the context may show that it was intended to apply to meals only. Well, then you go in and try and find meal in the dictionary. There's only one definition of meal in the dictionary, and it's meal rent. Rent paid by a tenant in meal. Well, what does the living person exist on? Okay? A meal. A source. His food. That is what a meal essentially is. What is his requirement? His source of existence. That's what basically meal is classified as. That means all of his needs and everything are a meal. So we haven't been getting our meal, our rent paid by our tenants as our meal. We've been getting, as in the parable, the prodigal son. We have been getting the slop, the leftovers, at a certain point in time when they feel that they will come and give us something. But as a master, as a director, your table is always to be full. Your needs, so that when you go to that table and you want something off the table, it's there. You pick it up. The first four letters of board are boar, B-O-A-R, a male hog, or sire. Well, you go and look up the word sire. Sire, a title of honor given to kings or emperors speaking or writing to them. Well, we know we're not kings, so, well, maybe we're emperors. So let's go take a look at the word emperor. Emperor, an officer. Okay? It is now, and this is the last one, in the definition, it is now used to designate some sovereign prince who bears this title. Well, I said for years that you break the word America down and you basically have I can. A prince, individual who has the understanding. That's what we are. We are an American prince, an American sovereign. And we're supposed to have the understanding. So we are an emperor, a sire. And then basically you go on down through there, and it talks about empire. Authority or command. Designating a subject to kingly powers as the British Empire. Well, you go through there and you find out, well, hell, there was an American Empire definition in there. The whole of the United States, composed of states and territory. We're an empire, and we're an emperor in that empire. Because we, the people, are the sovereignty of the land. We came from the land, and we have the sovereignty power from the land. And they tried to usurp our sovereign power from us under that enticement. Let me see, was that it? Just a second. Under tort, okay? And basically under torturers, tortfeasors, or whatever. They have tried to usurp and take our sovereign powers away from us. This also falls under the contract labor law, okay? There's a federal statute regulating and restricting the practice of introducing immigration by paying the expenses of travel to the United States for the purpose of obtaining cheap manual labor. Now, if that isn't what they have done, they have come in and basically introduced immigration, us to immigrate to either the corporate commercial United States or the corporate commercial state of, under immigration to obtain cheap labor, manual labor from us. But when you go into court, you have to request permission to enter. You do not do an appearance. You enter and you come in with your title of office and what you, where you like your address. The office is in care of the director, Patrick Devine, the incumbent. The mail is not to be delivered care of the address. It's got to be care of some living individual at that address, at that office. So all the stuff that people have been doing out there, putting the CO in front of everything, the post office and everything else, and I think I messed that up. I left the seal in front of the post office on those zips, so yeah, they may mess with me. I don't know. But we're coming in, and basically we're the ones that are the caretaker. And then we go then and put our information into the Secretary of State. And I think I posted that one up on the site, that we're going to request from the Secretary of State our director's identification card, auto sticker and tags to be placed upon the Board of Directors mailing list and all board meetings and other special events. That was one other thing that I probably should have put on there from your order from the Secretary of State's office, that we are the recorded director for this location. As an executive elector. Then when you have that, now you will basically, you don't need to have a voter registration card. You show that you are a voter by every right that's out there. You're not a commercial operator in the endeavor. You're a director. You do not fall under the same regulations as the employees of the corporation. You're over them. And you're over the public servant offices, the governor, the president, the attorney general, all of those are underneath you. But this goes all the way back, and see, all the parables that were in the Bible that Jesus was talking about, they all dealt with a table. Going to the head of the table, getting demoted and sent back to the bottom of the table, and the one that came in at the bottom of the table sat at the head of the table, was brought forward. The prodigal son was sitting there sleeping with the hogs and everything, and turned around and said, hey, I got better food and everything back at my father's table. So he went back home. He was welcomed back. His father's table was never empty. In other words, he didn't have to beg when he got hungry or anything. It was there for his needs. You go to Camelot with King Arthur and his court. What they do, they set up a round table. And as long as basically they fulfilled the round table, the people were free. But when it collapsed, that's when they went back into the Dark Ages again, into servitude. If anybody should have understood this stuff, it should have been the English out here, because what have you got over there in England? All these shireships. Okay? The shire of this and the shire of that. Those are many kingdoms. A sire is. But see, the people never really got out of being the slave mode over there, and they always were revolting against what was right. Just like a lot of the patriots in this country, they've got their heads up their butts, and they can't pull their head out and see the true light. They think they're going to find the remedy in the codes and everything else. They're looking in the wrong place. You have to understand what the words say. You have to look at the stories that history has provided for us to see what is really taking place. The answer is in the history and in the understanding of the words, and that alone. You look anyplace else, and you're looking at what the deceivers have put out there to try and keep you in their system. You're hanging on to the tethering lines like the balloon in The Wizard of Oz. Like I said, if Dorothy would have gotten into that balloon, she never would have woke up. She had to do it on her own. She was relying upon the balloon to get her home, and it took off without her, because that was not what was going to get her home. So many different things down through history. The Trojan horse story. But, I mean, there's numerous ones out there. Robin Hood. And he's marrying men. Was it a fairy tale or a story? Or was it a true fact? It could have been all of the above. But in a metaphoric condition, it was basically the same thing as some of these parables that are in the Bible. The stories from the Norse. The stories from Southern Africa. The stories from Australia, from the Aborigines. They all point to the same damn thing. The Chinese, the Orientals, the Polynesians, the same type of stories. When you get down and start studying a lot of this stuff, Michael Tessarian has basically done some of that stuff. There's others that have been out there that have written books on this about the different historical groups out there, other than just relying strictly upon the Bible. A lot of these stories have been word of mouth. The Cherokee Nation, the Indian stories that are in this country, they all point to a lot of the same scenario. The rise and fall of the different systems. So, I just wanted to come in and basically touch what these words really mean. You need to study these 5 pages of words, and then that other 13 pages of words that I had. You start understanding the words, and you'll start understanding what needs to be done. I gave you an example of what I sent into the Secretary of State, but we also need, like I said, I missed one thing on there. We need it to be recorded as the director at this location. Not registered, but recorded. So that we're recognized. That's what recording is. It's a official recognition.
That phrase would go with the text of the facts.
Go ahead. What'd you say again, Tom? You were breaking up there. Your mic or something screwed up.
Well, I could have bad bandwidth problems too. That phrase about recording as a director goes into the body of your facts. I guess you can hear me.
I still didn't quite understand. You said the director?
Your phrase about the director needs to be recorded at this location with the body of your facts.
No, look at the facts. Did I put it in there?
No, you didn't.
No, in the one that I put for the board of directors, you would want to say, okay, I'm ordering from your office my director's identification card.
Right.
And basically you would say also, and to record me into the record.
Okay.
As a director at this address. However you want to do it.
Okay, I got it. I see
okay.
What you're saying. Yes, got it.
I sent also a request in for a forensic audit and accounting into the Secret Service. But I think we need to turn around and send that accounting and forensic audit into the treasurer for the state. They can access those two accounts and have this Secret Service come in and do the forensic audit if need be. But I think it needs to be processed through the treasurer. After I got back home, I got thinking about that, and I said, yeah, maybe if that's where we really need to go to. Just make sure you take that seal off in front of the post office. And then see now, and you stop using, you always put director in front of your name. Okay, that now puts you in a official capacity. You're not Mr., you're a director. And see, even a woman can be a director in there because they would be an agent. In other words, they would come in with the proxy vote, voting as a director in the process, an executive elector. They would be an agent of that executive elector. And see, that's really what our title is. We are an executive elector. We elect the president, the governor, all of the elected officials, and then the elected officials basically are the ones that set up the appointed officials. But there's always got to be somebody at the top of the pyramid, and that's where we are. We're the all-seeing eye, the one that has the knowledge and understanding. At least that's what it was supposed to be showing on the dollar bill, that that's where we were supposed to be. Okay, any questions?
I was going over the 3-page facts where on the last page you basically wrote off the charges. That was the thing from the lawyer. And I had a hard time figuring out the words, and I'm wondering if I can go through that with you. Just one word I don't think I got. You say all charges ordered dismissed for testamentary arbitrator reinterpretation as of some decision. I don't know what the word for some would be there. As of my decision, Director Patrick Devine.
As a final decision.
Final. Okay.
And it's a reinterpretation.
Yes.
All charges ordered dismissed per testamentary arbitrator reinterpretation as a final decision. Yeah, they can chew on that, okay? You're the director, okay?
Too bad I don't have traffic tickets.
Well, basically, in a lot of things here, okay?
Yes.
And you order the set-off, especially if they're in the commercial realm under a fraudulent contract. Especially like credit cards or stuff like that. You make the payment that basically they were out there, but you terminate and get rid of all those damn things. That's what the vast majority of that first part of that letter going to the Attorney General. How do you bring something to a close? You kill the shitheads. You crucify them. But see, we had to have the authority to be the crucifier. And we direct the crucifixion of our employees. This person can no longer be an employee of this corporation. The director has that power. You want to fire an employee? You fire them. You give the order. Get rid of this employee. How many movies have you seen there of somebody coming in as a director, and basically somebody spills the damn coffee and they say, fire that person? Because of their incompetence. This is nothing but a corporation. It's that damn simple. You treat it as such, and basically that's where you'll be standing. You want to be a common shareholder, then basically you're going to get slop. The pittance. And that's what the common shareholders get out of a corporation. They get shit. Just take a look at Enron and half these other damn companies. It was always the top dogs that were getting the fat salaries and everything. Had food on the table constantly. You don't abuse the system, but basically that's how the system is supposed to be. And this goes all the way back into the Bible, both in the New Testament and the Old Testament alike. The wants and desires were always there for the ones that were in charge. Okay, any other questions?
So then, Patrick, as operating in the office of director as an executive elector, are we still, through that capacity, would we still execute the surrendering of preference, say, for example, in regards to a traffic ticket violation?
If you read that fax that I put up there, okay, you'll see what I said. And basically, I've had the statement that basically this legal department was coming in. See, they were trying to give me another opportunity to do the arbitration.
Oh, with the letter that you...
So basically, if they want to appear as a recontract, then I can do a reinterpretation. That's why I wrote what I did on that letter and sent that along. I sent it into my two judges, bullshit judges, okay, administrators, court administrators, really is what they are, banking administrators, the county attorney, and basically to the attorney general. I also sent a copy into the sheriff and told him, hey, you want to know what the hell I just did? Come and see me, and I'll explain it to you. But basically, these tickets are voided. I am not operating in commerce, commercial commerce.
So rather than surrendering them, I mean, and I guess in certain regards you are surrendering them, but
right,
you're
surrendering them back to the court, but you're doing it as a
voiding
termination of the thing. Yeah.
So as a director, you surrender it back, but surrender it back voided.
Yeah, you're giving it back to them. That basically you have your final decision is now this, that those tickets have been terminated and are surrendered back to you. You always have to give those tickets back as marked up. Here, they're yours, but there's no charge. I've made my decision. See, they can't make a decision. We do not stand in as the testimony arbitrator. Then they pick up the ball and they become the arbitrator.
So when they have dialogue on the initial citation to either plead guilty or not guilty, by doing
that's why
either
you
or.
do not come in to make an appearance, okay? You read the definition of what it says about appearance. An outward manifestation. The first act of a defendant in court being the overt act by which he submits himself to the court's jurisdiction. You do not come in making an appearance. You make an entry and you put your title. You're coming in like an ambassador. Mm-hmm. You put your title out front and request permission to enter. And then you are entering in the defense of the defendant.
So that would be your initial communication.
Yes, along that line, you're going to have to think about that, how you would want to address that. But that's what you do. You're making an entrance into that court, not an appearance. Okay? How are you going to bring an appearance in for a fiction?
Right.
Yeah.
No, I understand that completely.
Okay.
It also stood out to me when you were speaking about the officer of a labor union. Could you readdress what you were referencing that from?
I don't remember anything about labor unions.
Yeah, you said something earlier. I think it was a definition you were reading from where you brought up a labor union, an officer of a labor union. Well,
that was the labor. The labor law. Okay.
Yeah.
Just a second. Damn pages. Contract labor law. Okay. Contract labor law. The federal statute regulating and restricting the practice of inducing immigration by paying the expenses of travel to the United States for the purpose of obtaining cheap manual labor. Okay? What have they done? They've offered you a damn stinking frying pan or something like that to come over and get you to immigrate into the corporate United States for obtaining cheap manual labor. Then they can attack your account. And what was that done on? With Social Security. They gave you a promise of you're going to have security for your life, but it's not going to start until you turn 65. But if you don't live to 65, it's not going to go to anybody else. You're just out. It's like the damn frying pan that the damn bank offered you to open up a damn checking account or savings account. Damn thing lasted for 6 months and then it became a piece of shit. If it even lasted that damn long. See, that's contract labor law.
I just found it very interesting because as I was looking at the traffic citation, a few things were standing out to me, and I was looking at the definition you had put up on one of your earlier documentation regarding racket and racketeer, and it was explaining under racketeer, it said using one's position, especially a position as officer of a labor union, to extort or obtain money by fraud or defraud. And it was saying, it further goes on to explain the organized use of threats, coercion, intimidation, and violence to compel the payment for actual or alleged services of arbitrary or excessive charges under the guise of membership dues, protection fees, royalties, or service rates. And when you look at the traffic citation, towards the bottom, it has the fine, which is for example, $25, and then tacked on underneath that are 4 additional charges for emergency medical services,
filing fee, and all these other damn extra add-on fees that go into these extra charitable trusts that they set up, to where they don't have to pay taxes on that as income, because they're going into 501c3 fraudulent trust. And then they become the trustee, and basically the trustee, when they draw out some, they just sort of slip it up by, and they don't have to pay taxes on that either. It's all a fraud game. And that's
racket says
in it. Racketeering.
Racket by definition, not racketeer, but racket says any kind of sharp or unlawful practice operated for profit as a numbers game.
Yeah, and see, Al Capone, if he would have just gone and ran as mayor of Chicago, he would have still probably been alive today. I don't think so, but basically he could have been if he played his cards right.
No, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I was just trying to figure out, get some further insight into how I should go about, because I could go ahead and pay the traffic fine violations, but I'm really looking at it, and I'm looking at this as an opportunity to execute an initial, action in regards to the situation by implementing your process. So.
Yeah, you basically write it up, okay, sort of like what I did with that write-up to the Attorney General. The second paragraph there is about the traffic ticket, the testimony arbitrator statement, okay? And since if I'm not operating in commerce, then basically don't give me the appearance bonds. But if I'm operating in commerce, I better fucking get paid. And basically, by will, and that's what, this whole thing was. That traffic ticket becomes another will.
Mm-hmm.
Signed by your fictional person. So it's a will. But since you are not operating in commerce, then basically that will is void from that standpoint. But since you're coming in and you're doing an entry and appearing in behalf as the arbitrator is due to get paid for his services. And see, that is not a commercial endeavor. That is a just compensation. You are entitled to get paid for your labor, not to be taxed upon your labor. Only if you're a commercial employee or an employee of a corporation are you going to get taxed upon your labor. And that's a membership fee, really, when it comes down to it. An extortion fee. And see, that's what they're doing. A lot of extortion out here.
Right.
Any other questions?
Looks like not, Patrick.
Well, did this help anybody get a better understanding of what's going on here? I've got to have fucking response from you fucking people to know, or either that or I'm going to fucking shut up. Okay? I'm getting tired of sitting here and not getting any fucking response out of you people. Show that you're fucking alive.
Hey, Patrick, how you doing? This is Kevin.
Okay.
Hey, listen, so in other words, is it possible, do we have to file a will and testament to get it recorded so we can have connected to the estate and then we have more power? Or,
No. See, that's where everybody's going wrong. Read what it says about that testamentary arbitrator. It's the will. Now, you want a will, you keep your will as the living person fucking private. You put that in your records. That will never go into any court action.
Okay.
Okay? See, that's where people have gotten this all wrong, thinking that they need to do a living will in this process. No. The will that we need to contend with is this fictionary will that basically is unstated out here, because all contracts are basically wills.
So that by us putting that the testimony arbitrary in there, that would give us the validity to resend back all charges or presentments that they sent us.
No, you've got to see what you're doing. Okay. Now, like on the public bills, okay, that they send you, you need to do a set-off. You're the director of the corporation, okay? So you turn around and you order the Treasury to do a set-off of those. Same thing with the mortgage. Basically, you turn around and you send it into the treasurer. You're the director over the corporation. So where do you send it to? You send it to the treasurer of the corporation. Here, pay this bill. I'm sitting up here in the penthouse, and I want this bill paid.
And that's by the implementation of the trade acceptance, correct?
Of what? Yeah, of whatever. But see, I've changed some of that stuff. That's why you need to listen to the latest audios and stuff that I've tried to put up there from last Sunday and Monday night. I was trying to lead into what I came up with here and switching gears. Okay.
Okay.
Now, see, we were going along in third gear. I'm in fifth gear overdrive right now.
Tawana, you had something?
Well, it was off topic. I wasn't sure.
Well, let's hear it and see.
They imposed all these sanctions, the EU and the U.S. against Russia. Will this take us out of the loop from what's going to be the fallback from all that nonsense? Because I mean, it's starting to look like war is imminent.
Yes, they're going to pull the plug on this monetary system, okay? And unless you get out of the commercial system, you're basically a sitting duck. You're classified as a slave, and you'll be used as fodder.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so you sit around, you drag your feet, and basically you're never going to get off the fence, and you're never going to get out of the system. You're going to stay in the corral. You've got to get on the other side of the fence and start running free. And see, America...
I mean, we're probably on there somehow. I mean, because the other documents that we've sent, they at least know that we don't want to be in it.
Yeah, but we haven't
come in correctly,
right.
though.
We haven't done it right. Yes, that's the problem. We didn't address ourselves that we were on the board of directors, and every corporation has to have a board of directors.
Yeah, they shut down their stock exchange today, Russia. Their economy's dead as of now.
No, their economy is not dead, okay? They just
at least that's what they're telling us.
They just tried to prevent the damn England and United States from going in there and usurping their commercial shit into their system.
Oh, okay, yeah, blocking it.
Yeah, they're trying to operate with just exchangement. Okay, that's what they're trying to get back to. They were deceived when the wall came tumbling down. They were brought back into the commercial realm, into the system, and then the bankers and everything got over there, and now they're trying to break away from that again. See, that's what Saddam Hussein, that's what Chavez down in Venezuela, that's what Gaddafi was trying to do over there in Libya. But see, the United States came in and inserted the CID, or the CIA in there to go in the back door and bring the bankers back in and then instigate the people against the thing and then come in and say, oh, yeah, we're coming in to save the people. No, they're coming in to try and enslave the people into the banking system, the commercial banking system.
All right.
But you don't need to worry about that, okay? That will have no effect upon you. You need to take care of your shit. This is on an individual basis.
Right. Well, we got to let them know we're not who you're looking for.
Well, you just sort of come in and just sort of get this thing in there in sort of a stealth mode, okay?
Right. Well, I'll get mine out tomorrow. I'll work on it all night if I have to.
Yeah, about being totally belligerent or anything like that. You don't need to use some of the words that I use because I am a real belligerent.
Well, you're marked, so
yeah,
you kind of got to be
for all the stuff. So basically, I'm coming. I'm going to let them know that I'm coming in just like Jesus. I'm going to rant and rave in that damn temple and turn over the damn tables. But not everybody can do that.
Hey, Patrick, are you going to walk on water also?
I've already done that.
Is it because you know where the rock?
You haven't seen me out here walking on the water, have you?
That's above the Sea of Commerce.
Yes, it's above the waters of commerce.
I heard somebody says it's because
commercial commerce, the commercial waters, the ways of interest rates, the ups and downs, the peaks and valleys of usury interest rate. That's the waves on the water. So when you stop utilizing the commercial monetary system, then you are walking upon it. You're the one that is basically walking on solid water.
Right.
Is that solid water ice, or you know where the rocks are under it?
No, just think of it just as solid water, okay? Okay. You people try and get off subject and trying to go different ways about this. Just think of the metaphors, okay?
Of course. I'm pulling both your legs.
Patrick?
Yeah.
A female can't sign as director. You say we are agents, so how do we sign?
No, you can sign as a director. Read the definition of what it says about director. The first word in director, it says agent or executive.
Oh, okay.
In there. And see, you would be signing, you would still be a director. And see, that's even substantiated in the Bible, where the two women came in and basically their husbands had died in the war and their fathers were dead, but they were still entitled to their inheritance.
Right.
But they had to come in as agents in the capacity. They were still a director, but they came in the capacity as agents because they were under the protection of their dead husband or their father, dead father. Because a woman is always under bondage. They're protected bondage, okay? They're supposed to be in the background, being protected by a male out in front. Now, the male doesn't necessarily have to be alive, but you always have a front male out in front of a woman.
So what if my husband is still sitting on the fence? Is my paperwork going to be ineffective because he's not doing it?
You take your baseball bat or your frying pan and you start beating him around the head. You get him to listen to this shit. They're out to divorce his ass. Revert back to your father. Take your money and run. No, I mean, basically that's what Jesus said, or basically Paul said, shake the sand off your sandals and leave. You don't let somebody else destroy your life for you, okay?
Right.
And that's what, in a lot of cases, some of these fishy men and basically fishy women or whatever are going to do. If they don't want to get the knowledge and understanding, then let them go down the pike. Let them go to the slaughterhouse on their own. But you don't have to go to the slaughterhouse with them.
So on a credit card, do we use this fax that you just sent out, the testimony arbitrator attitude, or do we use a set-off?
You basically terminate the damn thing, okay?
Okay. Yes.
In the process, you're terminating and surrendering all 9-digit numbers, okay?
Okay.
That usury system in the process. I mean, you can't just sit there and just do one. When you're going to do one, you might as well do the whole damn shooting match in one swell swoop.
So collectively, what is all of the documentation you have, or the new stuff you just put out today? I have not had an opportunity to review that yet because I got off work and I saw it afterwards.
You need to look at that and then think about what questions you want to ask next time, or come back onto the group and ask those questions at that time, okay?
Well, I guess my question now is prior to this current documentation, what stuff should we include in this process?
Everything.
Okay.
Everything that you want to terminate and get out of, okay?
Well, that would be all.
I think he meant one document.
You want to get rid of this bad dream, okay? Whatever you have there, you're going to basically get rid of it.
I'm just seeing these traffic citations as a doorway to step through to do that.
Well, that's on that individual basis, okay? I had to put them on notice so that basically they are not going to try and come and arrest me. And I put this out to 2 judges. I put this to the county attorney. I put this to the sheriff. And I also put this to the attorney general. Now, if anything comes against me after this, basically all or one of those individuals will be taken down. I will take their bond of office if any harm comes against me. And see, as a board of director, I will take their bond and pull their corporate bond from them and fire their ass. They will no longer be working for this corporation because I'm a board of director. See, that's what you got to realize when you start understanding where the board is in this process. And see, you stand over the governor, over the president. You're the one that put them in that office. And it only takes two to take him out of that office or any other elected official under the treason. And that's what I tried to say last time, is that basically you need to try and get linkage in to a state to where there's more than just one of you in the state doing this in this process, so that now when you submit your stuff into sort of in tandem, you don't have to do it in the same package, but a week or two apart or something like that, and basically, well, I didn't get a response, then you can turn around. Now you've got two directors coming in to file a charge of breach of office against these people.
So we begin to
and you're the director of the corporation, and therefore you can basically have them terminated.
So the board of directors is essentially the republic. Well, the governing authority of the republic. Okay. Yes, we're the ones that have the all-seeing eye and the dollar. We have the knowledge, the authority. Yeah, we're the ones that really make and control the operations of this corporation. We just haven't been doing a damn good job of it up to this point. Because everybody was demoted out of the director's chair and demoted down to being an employee of the corporation. Sort of like the Hudsucker movie. The guy basically was down in the mailroom, and by the will of the owner of the corporation, he was brought up to become the president of the corporation. And that movie was put out, the original version of that scenario was put out in the 1930s. I don't know whether it's Gregory Packer, one of them, was playing the sort of the mailroom person that got brought up to become the president of the company. Or the chairman or whatever.
I've seen that a couple of times, but I can't remember the movies.
Yeah. Well, the modern version was, I think, called the Hudsucker or something.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've seen it. But, yeah, I mean, all this stuff is in the stories, okay? The people just got to start thinking about what you have seen in the past. It's in your computer database, in your little mind. Start opening your mind. That's what this whole endeavor is. And when you start understanding the words, then your mind will start to expand and open up. And the more you gain, yes, it's going to be testing you to try and keep all that shit in that little mind of yours. okay, because it's going to want to be coming out. And it'll be coming out in numerous different things. I mean, I'm sitting here at times thinking about writing this letter, this item over here, going in 25 different directions at the same time because of the additional knowledge that I keep getting. But I've only got two hands, so I can only go in two directions.
Well, you got to prioritize.
Mm-hmm. So I just have to set them in sync and try and bring them together to where then I could bring them out. And don't worry, you'll still make some mistakes, like what I did with that CO in front of post office. I didn't even see that I'd missed that. And then also I missed the word by down where I was supposed to be having the clerk of the court send me a check back for the appearance bonds. Because that was by the will.
Oh, right. You wrote that in. I saw that.
Yeah.
Did you notice that the signature was actually in 2012?
Well, see there again, I screwed up. So basically they'll probably jump that, so I'll turn around, send a new one out tomorrow.
Okay. It looks like you got it
they'll
from
try
another...
and find anything that they can basically deviate.
Yeah.
So,
Do you have at the end of this fax to the Iowa Attorney General and the dismissed case document that you will address the fraudulent Iowa employee and secrete Iowa charitable trust taxes in a different fax? Is that a reference to?
I'll send another fax out addressing that. Okay.
I was going to ask, is that would that be connected to alleging a conspiracy to defraud?
It's all a conspiracy to defraud us. The whole damn shooting match. Everything that they do is a conspiracy, a usurpation of our right of sovereignty to defraud us from our rights and our property. It's an outright theft. It's a racket. It's racketeering. I mean, it's like you go into a carny, and basically the con is that they are going to try and separate you from all the money you have in your back pocket that you brought into that state fair or whatever, and you went down to the Midway. And they're going to try and get everything they can out of your back pocket so you don't take anything home with you, except maybe a 10-cent stuffed animal from China or something.
Right.
But see, people don't look at that type of correlation of what this other is going on out here. They think that this one is valid, and it's not. It's nothing but a con also. Okay, any other questions?
Not for me.
Okay, call tonight, Tom. Talk to you guys
Thank
later.
you, Patrick. Thank
okay,
you.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye.